If you want a new life, you must be willing to pay the price, not in dollars, but in decisions. The truth is, you can't hold on to your old life and expect a new one to magically appear. Every upgrade requires a trade. Every transformation demands a surrender. Your old life is built on habits, routines, and thinking patterns that brought you to this very point. If they were enough to give you the life you want, you'd already be living it. So the first step to stepping up is letting go. Let go of excuses that have been protecting your comfort zone. Let go of relationships that anchor you to mediocrity. Let go of the habits that keep you busy but not productive. The cost of your new life might be comfort. It might be sleep. It might be the approval of people who like the old version of you. You'll have to pay in discipline, in persistence, in learning, and in the courage to be misunderstood for a while. Think of it like moving to a new house. You can't take everything with you. You have to leave some things behind, even if you've grown attached to them. Because the new house has a new layout, new possibilities, and new space for growth. But it's not for the one who refuses to pack up and leave the old address. The old life wants to hold you hostage with the comfort of familiarity. It will whisper, "Stay here. It's safe." But safe doesn't build dreams. Safe doesn't create freedom. Safe doesn't help you discover your true potential. You don't have to hate your old life to leave it. You just have to want your future more than you want your past. The new life will demand a stronger version of you, one that shows up even when it's inconvenient, one that keeps promises to yourself even when no one's watching, one that thinks bigger than the people around you. And remember, change is not an event. It's a process. You'll be tested. You'll be tempted to go back. But every time you say no to the old life, you say yes to the new one. The price is high, yes, but so is the reward. The new life will cost your old one, but the return on investment will be worth more than you can imagine. Comfort is one of the most seductive traps in life. It feels good, it feels safe, and it asks nothing of you but to stay where you are. The chair is soft, the routine is predictable, and the demands are low. But here's the truth. Comfort has a cost, and it's far greater than most people are willing to admit. It costs you your potential. It costs you the thrill of becoming more. It costs you the satisfaction of knowing you pushed yourself beyond what you thought possible. Growth, on the other hand, is demanding. It's uncomfortable. It will stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes frustrate you. Growth never shows up dressed in ease. It comes wrapped in discipline, learning, and struggle. But here's the irony. What feels uncomfortable today will eventually become your new comfort tomorrow. That's how you evolve. The problem is, too many people have decided to settle for the first comfort they found. They built a small life around it, convinced themselves it was enough, and stopped reaching for more. They didn't notice that the walls of comfort slowly became the walls of a prison. And once you get too used to those walls, you stop even imagining what life could be like outside of them. If you want to grow, you have to make an intentional trade. You have to hand over comfort in exchange for challenge. You have to be willing to feel awkward, to feel uncertain, to take steps that you can't see the end of. Think about a seed. It's comfortable in the soil until it starts to break open. But that breaking is the beginning of becoming a tree. Without the discomfort, there's no growth. This is why some people stay stuck for years. They're waiting for growth to feel comfortable before they begin, not realizing that the discomfort is the sign they're on the right track. They think they can keep everything they have now and add the benefits of growth on top. But the truth is, you can't keep comfort and get growth at the same time. It's always a trade. Trading comfort for growth means getting up earlier than you'd like. It means making that extra phone call when you'd rather relax. It means reading a book when you could be watching another show. It means saying no to some invitations so you can work on yourself. It means facing fears head on instead of pretending they're not there. At first, this trade feels expensive. You might even feel like you're giving up too much. But over time, you start to realize that the comfort you gave up was small compared to the strength, skills, and opportunities you gained. You'll look back at your old comfort and see it for what it was, a safe little box that kept you from living the life you were capable of. And here's the beautiful part. Once you trade comfort for growth enough times, you start to crave growth more than you crave comfort. The things that once scared you now excite you. The challenges you used to avoid now feel like opportunities. You begin to understand that the best parts of life are found just beyond the edge of what's comfortable. It's not that comfort is bad. It's necessary sometimes to rest and recharge. But it's meant to be a temporary stop, not a permanent address. Stay there too long and you'll miss out on the adventures, the lessons, and the victories that only come to those who are willing to feel the stretch of growth. So ask yourself, what comfort am I holding on to that's keeping me from my next level? What habits, routines, or fears am I protecting that I need to release? Because the trade will always be there waiting for you to make it. Growth isn't a gift handed out to the lucky. It's the reward earned by those who are willing to step into the unknown, to embrace the awkwardness, and to choose progress over ease. And when you make that trade often enough, you'll look back and realize that giving up comfort was the best deal you ever made. Old habits are like well-worn paths in the forest. You've walked them so many times that you can travel them without thinking. They feel familiar. They feel safe. They take you exactly where you've always gone. And that's the problem. If you want to go somewhere new, you can't keep walking the same path. The destination won't change until the direction does. Every habit you have today was designed, consciously or unconsciously, to create the life you're living right now. If you're satisfied with that life, then keep them. But if you're aiming for something bigger, better, or different, then some of those habits have to go. You can't arrive at a new level of health, wealth, or purpose by using the same routines that built your current level. Think about it. If someone wants to be healthier but still eats the same food, keeps the same sleep schedule, and avoids exercise like they always have, they're not going to magically wake up one day transformed. Their habits are leading them to the same results. It's like typing the same address into a GPS and expecting to arrive somewhere else. Change doesn't happen just because you want it. It happens because you build the daily behaviors that produce it. And that's where most people get stuck. They dream about new destinations but refuse to release the old habits that keep steering them back to the same place. The truth is, old habits fight for survival. They'll disguise themselves as just the way I am, or this is how I've always done it. They'll tell you that change is too hard, that you can start later, that you're making progress when you're really just circling the same block. Breaking free from them takes awareness and commitment. You have to be willing to feel the pull of the old while choosing the new. Replacing an old habit is rarely about force. It's about design. You don't just remove something, you replace it with something better. If you stop one habit, but don't intentionally build a new one in its place, you'll default right back to the old behavior. The mind craves patterns, and if you don't give it a new one, it will grab the familiar, even if that familiar is holding you back. Here's the challenge. New habits often feel uncomfortable at first. They demand more effort, more focus, and more discipline than the old ones. That's because you're building new pathways in your mind and body. It's like learning to write with your opposite hand. You're capable of it, but it feels awkward until you've practiced enough to make it natural. This is why so many people quit before the new habit has time to take root. They mistake discomfort for a sign they're failing, when in reality, it's a sign they're growing. You can't skip this stage. You can't fast forward to the part where it feels easy. The awkward beginning is part of the price you pay to change your destination. And here's something worth remembering: the habits that will take you to your new destination already exist. You just haven't made them yours yet. They're in books you haven't read, routines you haven't adopted, disciplines you haven't practiced. Once you make them part of your life, the change becomes inevitable. Every destination is a result of the journey you choose. And the journey you choose is determined by the habits you live by. If your habits are leading you somewhere you don't want to be, change them. If your habits aren't aligned with your vision, redesign them. It's that simple and that hard. So take an honest look at your daily routines. Ask yourself, are these habits building the future I want? Or are they keeping me in the past I'm trying to leave? Because no matter how much you hope, no matter how much you dream, you can't keep yesterday's habits and expect tomorrow's life. The map has to change before the destination does. And when you finally trade the old for the new, when you start living in alignment with where you want to go, you'll find that change isn't a matter of luck or timing. It's the natural result of daily decisions that move you closer to the life you've been chasing. Some relationships are like anchors. They don't necessarily sink you right away, but they make sure you never sail far from the shore. You may care about these people, you may have a long history with them, but deep down you know they're not helping you grow. In fact, they may be holding you back, keeping you tied to habits, mindsets, and lifestyles you've been trying to leave behind. The truth is, the people you spend the most time with shape you more than you realize. Their attitudes influence your thinking. Their habits affect your own. Their expectations create invisible ceilings over what you believe is possible for your life. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, avoid responsibility, and live small, it's only a matter of time before you start doing the same. Letting go of unhelpful relationships doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you recognize that the environment you live in determines the direction you grow in. You can love someone and still acknowledge that your path is taking you somewhere they're not willing to go. And if you try to carry everyone with you, you may never reach your own destination. Some people in your life will only celebrate you as long as you stay the same. The moment you start changing, they'll feel uncomfortable. They may even criticize you or try to pull you back to where you used to be. Not because they hate you, but because your growth reminds them of what they're not doing in their own life. And rather than rise with you, they'll want you to shrink back down to their level. That's why you need to be intentional about your circle. If someone consistently drains your energy, discourages your progress, or distracts you from your priorities, you have to make a decision. You can't keep feeding relationships that starve your dreams. The time and attention you give to unhelpful people is time and attention you could be giving to those who inspire you, challenge you, and push you higher. This doesn't mean you cut people off with bitterness or anger. It means you change the level of access they have to you. You can still be polite, still wish them well, still share a moment when the opportunity arises. But you stop giving them the influence they once had over your decisions, your emotions, and your mindset. And here's something to remember. When you let go of unhelpful relationships, you create space for the right ones to show up. Life has a way of filling a vacuum, but it won't send you the people you need if your schedule, energy, and heart are still occupied by those who drain you. The right relationships will challenge you to think bigger, not settle for less. They'll remind you of your values when you're tempted to compromise. They'll cheer you on when you take risks and hold you accountable when you slack off. These are the people who make you better just by being around them. And you'll never meet enough of them if you keep all your time invested in people who are content to stay where they are. Yes, it can hurt to let go of certain relationships. It's not easy to step away from people who've been part of your life for years. But you have to decide, do you want to protect the past or do you want to pursue the future? Because you can't do both at the same time. Your destiny is too important to keep on hold because you're afraid of losing someone. Sometimes the best thing you can do for both yourself and the other person is to release them. That way you're free to grow and they're free to live as they choose without either of you holding the other back. In the end, your life will reflect the people you've walked with. So choose carefully. Surround yourself with those who pull the best out of you, not the worst. Because if you want to rise, you can't keep chains around your ankles. And if you want to go far, you can't let the wrong company steer your ship. Excuses are clever. They don't show up looking like enemies. They sound reasonable, even logical. They whisper things like, you've had a long day, you deserve a break. Or, you'll start fresh on Monday. They wrap themselves in comfort, disguise themselves as self-care, and present themselves as harmless little delays. But make no mistake, excuses are thieves. They steal time. They steal opportunities, and they steal the future you could have had if you had acted instead of talked yourself out of it. The problem isn't that people have excuses, everyone does at some point. The real problem is when we start negotiating with them. The moment you sit down at the table with your excuses and start considering their terms, you've already lost ground. You've given them power by treating them as if they deserve to be heard. Negotiating with your excuses always leads to the same result. You compromise on your commitments. You cut your effort in half. You delay what should be done now. And the worst part is, you feel justified in doing it. Because once an excuse wins the negotiation, it makes you believe it was the smart choice. But the truth is, every time you give in to an excuse, you're building the habit of quitting. If you want to change your life, you have to stop giving excuses a seat at the table. You can't keep reasoning with them, softening them, or letting them convince you that tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow is just today with a different name, and if you're not willing to act now, you probably won't be ready then. Excuses grow stronger every time you feed them, and you feed them by listening, agreeing, and acting on them. The only way to starve them is to take action in spite of them. You don't wait until you feel like it. You don't wait until conditions are perfect. You decide, this is what I said I'd do, and I'm doing it. No debate. No discussion. No delay. Think about the areas of your life you want to improve. Health, finances, relationships, skills. Every one of them requires action, consistency, and follow through. But excuses will always present you with an easier, softer path. Skip the workout, delay the call, spend instead of save, relax instead of study. And while each choice seems small in the moment, over time, they compound into a life you didn't want but settled for. This is why discipline matters so much. Discipline is simply the ability to do what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's refusing to enter the courtroom where your excuses are the lawyer and you're the jury. It's making the decision before the feeling arrives, so the feeling can't decide for you. And here's something worth remembering. Excuses will never leave you. They'll always be around, ready to make their case. But the more you ignore them and take action anyway, the weaker their voice becomes. Eventually, they stop sounding like truth and start sounding like what they really are, lies designed to keep you comfortable but small. When you look at high achievers, you'll notice they're not free from excuses. They just don't entertain them. They've learned that every excuse is a test. Will you stay loyal to your goals? Or will you betray them for the temporary relief of avoiding effort? They choose loyalty to their vision over loyalty to their comfort. You have to make the same choice. The next time an excuse shows up, whether it's about time, energy, resources, or circumstances, don't pull up a chair and let it talk. Close the door. Act immediately. Move forward without the discussion. Because once you stop negotiating with your excuses, you start negotiating with your potential. And that's a conversation worth having. In the end, excuses will give you 1,000 reasons why you can't, but you only need one good reason why you must. Hold on to that reason. Let it be louder than any excuse. And one day, you'll look back at everything you accomplished, knowing it wasn't because life got easier. It was because you stopped letting excuses run the show. Discipline and regret are both forms of payment. The difference is when you pay and what you get in return. Discipline charges you up front. It demands effort now, sacrifice now, and commitment now. Regret waits until later, but when the bill comes due, it's far more expensive, and you get nothing of value in return. The price of discipline might feel high in the moment. Waking up early when the bed is warm, saying no to distractions when your friends are saying yes, staying consistent with your goals when no one is watching. It's not easy. Discipline costs you comfort. It costs you the option of doing what's easy and fun in the short term. But what it gives you in exchange is priceless. Progress, confidence, skills, freedom. Regret, on the other hand, feels cheap in the moment. It lets you skip the workout, procrastinate on the project, or spend the money instead of saving it. It tells you you can deal with it later. And later always comes, but when it does, regret shows up empty-handed. It gives you nothing but the sinking feeling that you could have done better but didn't. Here's the reality: discipline is temporary pain, regret is permanent pain. The sting of discipline fades quickly, replaced by pride and satisfaction. The sting of regret lingers, and often you can't go back and fix it. You can't relive the opportunities you passed up. You can't reclaim the time you wasted. Think of discipline as an investment and regret as a debt. Discipline puts deposits into your future. Health, wealth, relationships, opportunities. Regret withdraws from your future and leaves you with nothing but what ifs. Every day you're making that choice: invest now or borrow from tomorrow. It's easy to tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow's discipline will never be worth as much as today's. The opportunity you have today is unique. The momentum you could build now can't be duplicated later. Every day you delay, the price of discipline goes up, and the price of regret gets heavier. When you choose discipline, you're choosing to be in control of your future. You're deciding that your life will be shaped by your decisions, not your excuses. And yes, there will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be days when you'd rather take the easy route. But discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you do regardless of how you feel. Regret works the opposite way. It's always about how you feel in the moment. You don't feel like working out, skip it. You don't feel like learning, turn on the TV. You don't feel like making that call, do it another day. But every time you follow your feelings instead of your commitments, you're making a deposit into the bank of regret. And that account pays nothing but disappointment. People often say they're not disciplined enough, as if it's some rare gift that only a few people have. But discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it grows stronger with practice. Every time you choose it, you make it easier to choose next time. And here's the best part: discipline eventually becomes habit. What feels hard today will one day be automatic, and that's when the results start multiplying. The people who live with the least regret are not the ones who had the easiest lives. They're the ones who consistently paid the price of discipline. They made themselves do the work even when they didn't feel like it. They made sacrifices others weren't willing to make. And because of that, they enjoy the freedom and opportunities that others only dream about. So you have to decide, will you pay now or pay later? Will you endure the temporary discomfort of discipline or the lasting weight of regret? Because one thing is certain, you will pay. The only question is what you'll get in return. If you pay in discipline, you get the life you've been aiming for. If you pay in regret, you get a lifetime of wondering what could have been. Choose wisely. If you decide to change your life, you have to be ready for something that surprises most people. You will be misunderstood. Not everyone will see your vision. Not everyone will understand why you're making certain choices. Some will question your decisions, some will doubt your motives, and some will even laugh at your efforts. That's the price you pay for chasing something beyond the ordinary. When you set out to improve yourself, you create a gap between where you are and where you want to be. The people around you are used to the old version of you. They've built their picture of you based on your past habits, your past conversations, and your past results. When you start to change, it disrupts that picture. And human nature doesn't always welcome disruption. Some people will think you're acting too good for them. Others will believe you're making a mistake. They might even assume you've lost your way, when in fact you've finally found it. But remember this, your dream wasn't given to them, it was given to you. It's not their job to understand it. It's your job to pursue it. If you're not willing to be misunderstood, you'll always be tempted to shrink back to fit the expectations of those around you. You'll find yourself explaining every move, looking for approval, and slowing your progress so no one feels left behind. But if you do that, you're not really living for your goals. You're living for their comfort. Every person who's ever achieved something remarkable had to face this. They kept going when people doubted them. They stayed committed when others rolled their eyes. They endured being called foolish, unrealistic, or stubborn. And later, when the results came, the same people who misunderstood them were often the ones asking, how did you do it? How being willing to be misunderstood means you stop making every decision through the filter of public opinion. It means you measure your actions against your goals, not against someone else's approval. It means you keep moving forward even when people are whispering, questioning, or criticizing. It also means you accept that not everyone in your current circle will join you in your future one. Some relationships will fade. Some connections will loosen. Not out of hate, but because your paths are simply headed in different directions. You can't walk two roads at the same time. You have to choose. And choosing yours will sometimes look like betrayal to people who expected you to stay on theirs. You have to understand that progress and popularity rarely travel together in the beginning. The crowd loves comfort zones, and they're quick to defend them. But if you're aiming for more, you can't let the fear of being misunderstood lock you inside the same box they're in. Yes, it can be lonely at first. Yes, it can feel strange to be the one breaking away from the norm. But over time, you'll find others who understand the path you're on. You'll connect with people who think bigger, aim higher, and refuse to settle. And when that happens, you'll realize that being misunderstood was just the toll you had to pay to enter a better environment. The truth is, the only way to avoid being misunderstood is to do nothing, change nothing, and risk nothing. But that's the fastest way to live a life you'll regret. Growth always creates discomfort for you and for those around you. And while that discomfort might create confusion at first, it's also the sign that you're moving into new territory. So don't waste energy trying to get everyone to see what you see. The ones meant to understand will in time. The rest, let them think what they will. You're not here to live their version of your life. You're here to live yours. And if that means some people don't get you, so be it. You're not aiming to be understood today. You're aiming to be proud of yourself tomorrow.